Commando likes to tease you. It dangles all these awesome possibilities in front of you, only to yank them away. There are some good ideas here, and sometimes you glimpse a great game struggling to break free. More often, you get the idea that developer Grin didn't know what to do with its clever ideas. The shooting action is limp, and the experience is disappointingly linear. Moving about the world with your bionic arm is fun, but not so fun that it can carry the entire game.
Yeah!
In Bionic Commando, you play Nathan Spencer, a commando that was framed and thrown in prison, but is now getting a second chance at life after terrorists attack Ascension City. You are reunited with your bionic arm, and Superintendent Joe Gibson, the Super Joe from previous Bionic Commando games, sends you off to investigate. The story isn't very interesting, and Nathan is completely unlikable. He's got a gigantic chip on his shoulder, and the actor that plays him sounds like he was sneering the whole time. When he talks about his missing wife, it's impossible to empathize, and there's nothing else to really keep you invested in the story.
By the way, that's people you're breathing.
Nathan's bionic arm is the source of every good thing about Bionic Commando. Its most important role is to provide you a quick mode of transportation. You use it as a grapple hook, swinging from place to place and pulling yourself up walls and cliffs with it. Stringing swings together can be really satisfying, though it's not like you're Spider-Man, so you can't leap around as you please. Your arm only has limited reach, and swinging has a lot of weight behind it. It feels a bit awkward at first, but soon you'll be able to swing with ease. When you first get a glimpse of Ascension City, you might think you'll have a chance to swing around and explore. However, the game is relatively linear, but instead of using invisible walls to keep you in bounds, Bionic Commando uses deadly radiation. One misstep, or leap onto a roof you're not meant to land on, and it's almost instant death. Radiation has a big impact on things because it keeps your movement restricted, and the game's at its best when you have room to swing around and gather momentum. This issue and others have a negative impact on Bionic Commando's pace. All too often, you'll pass through areas where all there really is to do is swing, but using your arm isn't so exciting that it can carry the whole thing. Still, there are groups of enemies to contend with. Too bad the weapons aren't any fun to use. You'll most often use your pistol, which gets the job done but has absolutely no punch. Aside from the cool rocket launcher, none of the other weapons are fun to use either. They sound and look weak, which makes the shooting sections the most uninspired part of the game. Fortunately, your arm lets you conduct much more interesting attacks. You can latch onto enemies with your arm and zip kick them, and it's fun to combine a kick with a few pistol shots and maybe another zip kick or a punch for good measure. You can also grapple some objects in the environment and fling them around. This is a particularly cool technique in the game's best boss fight against a huge mechanical worm. You can also kick objects in the air and punch them into groups of enemies, which is really enjoyable. A few other set-piece battles, like the cool sequence at the end of the game, put the bionic arm to good use too. It's too bad there aren't more of these moments. You'll move through areas littered with all sorts of objects to throw around, but no enemies to throw them at. Other times you'll face mini-bosses that would be more fun to face if there were cars to fling at them, but there will be very few objects to use.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin!
There's also a multiplayer component, but it's uninspired as well because, again, the weapons just aren't fun to shoot. It is fun to zip kick opponents online, though, but it's more effective to just use your sad little pistol. Swinging around the map after you capture a flag is better than the shooting, which is sort of weird in a competitive match. The maps are well designed, but with only deathmatch, team deathmatch, and capture the flag, and only 10 players supported, you aren't apt to spend a lot of time online in Bionic Commando. The bionic arm is a really great idea, and it's easy to imagine all the cool possibilities. While the game does have some fun moments, it can't keep the momentum going. The arm is asked to sustain the entire game, but it just can't compensate for poor shooting and inconsistent pacing. This may be a reimagining of a classic franchise, but ironically, Bionic Commando lacks imagination.
Sucks to be you!